Oops. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
We are live, I guess. I thought it was gonna give me like another button there or something, but whatever. I guess it's too late now. We're hello everybody. Um, uh, Welcome to another episode of the warm up. Um, of the yelling at the parked cars. Um, and Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that I guess we can talk about. On my on the old thumbnail, I put Disney in the Netflix and the CNN Plus, and I don't know. There's my thumbnail skills aren't the best, but because I was actually going to put more than that on the thumbnail, but because we got old Elon. Apparently, old Elon actually, the Twitter deal actually went through. So I guess Elon owns Twitter now, and I was gonna put old Elon and the Twitter bird and stuff on the thumbnail, and I just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't get it. Couldn't figure it out. I don't know. I guess I'm a boomer. Um,
So the
but
deal actually
anyway,
went through. I know they had talked about they were going to accept it and begin working on negotiations, but it actually went through.
I've seen several things on you know videos and stuff on Twitter about the deal actually went through. I mean, there's at least I don't know a handful of channels that I got notifications for that are freaking talking about it as we speak. But so yeah, um, apparently yeah
Okay.
apparently Elon has bought Twitter. So I don't know. I guess we'll be a little bit more free to talk on Twitter now. Supposedly, I mean
If I
that's
can't say
that.
the N word, I don't think it really counts.
that
We'll see. It's
eh, well, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I'm reading.
Yeah,
They're just quickly skimming over New York Times article, and yeah, they definitely came to an agreement. I imagine it just
yeah.
the paperwork hasn't gone through yet. That's I'm sure going to take a little bit of time.
Um, I, I I don't know. Seemed like I saw something else that like something was put in place to keep the Twitter people like uh, whether it be the users or the actual I think it might have actually been pertaining more to the Twitter employees that are not happy about their new boss. But basically, there's been some anti sabotage um, measurements put in place. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do that. I was just checking to see if Donald Trump was back yet.
Right.
That's what I yeah, that's when we know it's gone through. I have seen a couple of people posting that they're back. Like Tucker Carlson just put something up saying we're back. Garantham, old Flannel Daddy, he just put one up. So I guess people are coming back that have been banned.
I well, here's the important one that needs to come back, or another one, I guess that needs to come back, and that's the libs of TikTok.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
loved checking their stuff out. And it was ridiculous how libs got banned anyway because all they were doing was showing you what the people were saying. They're just taking what the most ridiculous parts of the left are saying and putting
right.
it up front for everybody to see.
Well,
They weren't selectively
that's
editing or
why.
anything. Yeah, it's
That's why they got, as the kids say, that's why they got yeeted.
yep.
Um, because it's, we can't have, we can't have a negative light shown upon the real
Yep.
people.
We can't have you saying back to us what we just said 5 minutes ago. How dare you repeat me?
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. I but like I put in the description, I was like, you know, all the like the blow, the blowback, pushback, whatever, on Disney, um, after they said that they were gonna repeal, they're gonna fight to repeal the fight to repeal the Don't Say Gay bill,
Mm-hmm.
um, and Netflix has been, I mean, uh, to me, it's kind of a delayed reaction, ever since that Cuties movie, but
I
apparently,
definitely agree with that, and because there's ways that they can cover up the numbers, and I don't know exactly what they did, but I've heard other people who I believe to be credible saying that they were essentially taking measures that when they were dropping subscribers after the cutie situation to block that from the stock market.
uh, well, apparently they've lost about what about a quarter of their uh, stock or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like
Uh,
a 30% dive, something like that.
and then you know freaking CNN Plus, and it's you know still with its newborn smell, uh
Mm-hmm.
has has perished. So
Good riddance.
like I said in the description, I'm like, is this is this the turning point, or is this is this
Yep.
the I can't talk today, people. Is this the start, of the turnaround,
The
or
culture war
or
actually
like,
started to flip.
or have we been turning around already, or like,
Well, CNN has been held up by boomers in airports or people, they get a certain amount of quote unquote eyeballs that go toward their analytics that they sell
yeah,
to all of the advertisers. And they count all of the people that are in airports because they have a deal cut out with just about every place that's the
right?
one place you
Well,
ever see it.
they used
Yeah.
to,
And,
they
so they thought that I don't know why they thought it was a good idea. The people, the higher ups before they sold to Warner Discovery had to have known that they didn't actually have the potential viewership to handle a real streaming service, especially one for $5.99 a month, which, let's be honest, is about $15 too much. I mean, hell, even if they were paying me $10 to use their service, $10 a month to use their service, I wouldn't want to see the app on the phone. You keep that money. I don't need it that bad.
well, apparently they had apparently CNN Plus had a whopping I don't know, 25,000 subscribers.
I heard they peaked at 10.
Really?
That was the initial when they shut down. They were saying they peaked at 10. Now they might have had like 25 overall, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of people canceled immediately, and their continuing subscribers were probably around 10. But that's speculation. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's funny how like Gary, Gary and the crew, the Nerdrotic and the crew can pull in just as many, if not more, viewers for an episode of Friday Night Tights as CNN and CNN Plus can.
Oh yeah.
Like,
okay, yeah, it was viewers. You're right. They had fewer than 10,000 viewers at any given time, but also like fewer than 10,000 could mean one. Like that's kind of a vague number.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
technically, we have fewer than 10,000 viewers. That doesn't sound so bad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's they always play with the numbers. Like you can't trust these networks, and everybody freaking knows that. They've been completely, as far as journalistic ethics go, that got thrown out of the window at CNN back in 2016 during the election. They had a little bit before that. They had it back in the day, back in the early 2000s. They would actually tell you both sides of the issue. I mean, I was never a big fan of theirs, but I was a kid at the time.
Yeah.
But they've been shit for a long time. And who did they think actually wanted to see 6 hours of Brian Stelter every day? I can go to a potato farm and get just see the same thing and get just as much entertainment. Fuck.
Yeah.
That
oh man. Freaking that guy. Freaking Mark Dice. You know Mark?
Yeah.
Dude, Mark Dice freaking roasts Stelter at just about every chance he gets.
Oh yeah.
Right, like he'll play a video of Stelter and then he'll do the voice himself, so it's all like, "Hi, this is Brian Stelter,"
Oh yeah. Oh, and Chris Wallace. I am so happy for him right now, having to look for another job. He wrecked his credibility when he was at Fox by giving a quote unquote impartial moderation with the presidential election.
Oh, good God.
Oh yeah. And then after that, fleeing to CNN, getting his own show, and it gets canceled after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Good riddance. And Tucker Carlson was talking to somebody else at Fox News earlier today. I just saw a clip of it, but it was Gutfeld had asked him, "Hey, do you think Chris Wallace should come back? Do you think we'll maybe offer him his job again?" And Tucker was like, "No, he left. Screw him. He's gone. I don't care who his dad was."
Right. Yeah, he definitely. Which I don't know. I mean, I didn't always I didn't always like the stuff that his dad reported on or whatever, but his dad was definitely a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. He's I don't know. Yeah, I thought, being who his dad was, at first I'm like, oh, okay, cool, and then, he you could tell that he was on the freaking, mainstream, mainstream media freaking fake news bandwagon. So I'm like, nah, forget this dude.
Oh yeah, he's for the uniparty. Whoever is going to give him the most attaboys at the end of the day, whoever's gonna let him know, getting Pelosi's stock advice, Whoever's going to help him out the most, that's all he cares about. I mean, and we can see the way that his politics wax and wane, and with the networks he's gone to, I mean, I try not to use this term, but I think it fits with him. He is the literal definition of a grifter. He will say anything as long as it is expedient for his improvement. He doesn't care whichever side seems to be at either the political, the majority at the time, or whichever side seems to be making the most money. Because we had the red wave coming in, a few years ago, and he tried to hop on early with that. But then he saw that all of the other networks are still making most of the money with the way that they do ad view. They get ads because of, like we were talking about, with airport viewers and everything. So he fled over there, and he's paying the price. Nerdscape was just saying all mainstream media is compromised, and I agree. It's even Fox News. I don't trust them.
Well, I mean, I'll believe Fox News over the rest of them, but not like it's like the actual quote unquote newscasting or whatever part of Fox News. You could. They're just about the same as the other ones, but I like the certain people of Fox, like Tucker and Gutfeld and the like the gals from Outnumbered and whatnot. The other shows, I don't know whether you.
The more like opinion panel shows, things
like that.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
I still kind of see him as like controlled opposition, though. That's kind of the way I see him, especially how they were acting during the election and all of the crap that they were throwing at the January 6th, almost entirely peaceful protesters, if we're going to use the same metrics as the left. And the way they immediately will turn around on a story when it no longer becomes politically expedient for them, or they think it will harm their viewership, they'll flip it around real quick. And I agree with you. A couple of them I like. I think Gutfeld is funny, but at the same time, he kind of pissed me off with when the Chauvin, the Derek Chauvin and George Floyd riots were going on, and he basically said that he was prepared to completely forego any potential innocence that Derek Chauvin had because the riots had come to his hometown. They had gone through his streets, and immediately he was ready to fling Chauvin to the mob to keep himself safe. And for someone who preaches individual rights and tries to claim he's on the right and everything, he folded pretty quickly there. And I'll give Judge Jeanine a lot of credit because she called him out straight up for that.
Yeah. I mean, Gutfeld has said, a couple of things, that I was like, no, Greg, no. But for the most part, I still think he's, an all right dude. But I think the most legit, or based, whatever word you want to use, person on that network is Tucker.
Oh yeah, I agree. I do like Tucker Carlson. I think he's definitely one of the most honest people in news overall, and I think that the viewership numbers reflect that, because he's got the #1 opinion news show out there. So I do like Tucker. I don't know. I don't go out of my way to watch Fox News anymore. I try to go to more alternate sources. I'll check out people online and on YouTube. Like probably not the best place to just get my news, and I should do more background research into it. But people like Salty Cracker, I'll get stuff from him. Yeah. He's also just great to watch. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or one website I do go to pretty often, which I mean they constantly pull up, and the show that we're warming up, yelling at parked cars, is Reclaim the Net. That's a
Right.
great website.
Yeah. No. Freaking. The just the I don't know. The thing with CNN Plus, it's like we didn't need yeah, we just didn't need it. I mean, it's like they I don't know, like they're gasping for air, they're and it's
Yeah, and like
like,
all of the
oh
other
hey,
news stations.
please,
Oh
please,
yeah,
please watch us, forget the fact that we got you know people who freaking spank it during Zoom calls
I
and
mean he
other
got his
people,
own show for that, Lubin with Tubin.
yeah,
It's
other
on
other
Hub.
people that are other people that are have harassment, that have been let go from the network because of sexual harassment and you know
I'm actually curious as to how true any of those claims made against Cuomo were. Not that I want to defend the guy, but it was the stories about his brother and all of the cover-ups that he had been doing were breaking at the same time, like literally a week before that. It was, look at all of this media and journalistic corruption going on over here at CNN. Oh no,
yeah,
we really need to get rid of what was his name, Chris Cuomo,
yeah,
Fredo. We need to give Fredo, take Fredo on a boat ride. It'll be a lot easier if we just throw out some Me Too allegations toward him that never have to actually be checked, because no one actually cares about that anymore. You just make the allegations, and it's bad enough to fire somebody, particularly if they're on the left. So I'm curious
well,
as to how real those were.
him and his brother both got in trouble for that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you
but
know,
nothing's really happened about the nursing home genocide.
yeah, well,
And we stopped talking about that real quick when the sexual assault allegations came up.
well, I don't know. Part of me thinks that freaking Governor Cuomo was, you know, he was being protected. Let's face it, he was being protected until it was just not. Uh, it just wasn't feasible to protect him anymore. So then, that's that's when uh, that's when they let the dogs, come after him. And
Well, it had also leaked that Chris and a lot of other people over at CNN had been intentionally weaving stories a different way and intentionally bringing the former governor on specifically to make him look better in light of things and to try and bounce the all of the nursing home genocide away from him. So that was coming out like literally a week beforehand. And it just, everyone stopped talking about it as soon as the other allegations came out. And it's just, that's such a common media playbook thing that they do. It's, oh hey, there's a really bad story going on, don't pay attention to that, pay attention to this. Like everyone's talking about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial right now, which really has no major effect on the country, but I haven't heard any stories on from any major networks talking about all of the food processing plants that are burning down around the freaking country, like 20 something of them just in like a couple of months.
so,
Yeah,
hmm.
yeah. There. I saw someone had tweeted a map of it, and I mean, it's all over the country. Food processing plants are getting. I. It's too much of a coincidence for it to be negligence on all of their parts at once to have all of them burned down. But we don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional arson or anything like that. But nonetheless, like 20,
Right.
20 or 24 of them.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I saw anything on that or not. I I did see, you know, at a glance, you know, about you know, like old Bill Gates and, you know, all the farmland that old Bill, you know, is buying up or trying to buy up or whatever. You know, it's and yeah, that's definitely somebody that I want, you know, being in the farming industry. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's like, yeah, well, yeah, I'll buy up all this farmland and then yeah, I won't do shit. And then you know, you know, we'll just have the prices on all this shit go up and you know,
Yup, and it'll be harder for people who live in major cities where, I mean, it's nearly impossible to grow your own food in a major city. But for some reason, they don't have farmlands around them typically either. Like everything is grown way out in rural areas and they ship it to them. So, especially people living in major cities, they're going to be seeing a lot of food shortages coming up here soon. I mean, we've been knowing this for a while. I've been talking about it for months now. Like, you might want to go ahead and get some canned foods. You know, I don't know about the My Patriot Supply or anything like that, but it's not a bad thing to have sitting in the cupboard just in case.
yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. I think it depends on where you're at, on whether or not, you know, you've seen any shortages. Um, because like, you know, you know, where I live, you know, I really haven't seen any shortages. I mean, there's a few things, you know, a few things that uh, aren't on the shelf or, you know, but as far as a quote unquote shortage, not really. Um,
I mean,
but
even just missing items is technically a shortage if you're looking at it, and that's kind of the first step to it. I get what you're saying because I've had the same thing. Like, I
I
live where
mean,
they grow a lot of the food, but even
yeah,
then, we ran out of potatoes.
yeah. Uh, I mean, and we actually, I don't know if it's time yet or not, but like um, sometime here pretty soon, you know, we should be having the farmers market starting back up again uh, where I
That's
live.
that's the one thing that I'm kind of glad about where I live because there's plenty of places around here where it's either some old guy with a beat up old pickup truck sitting at a corner selling, you know, fruit and vegetables to you to try and circumvent the, you know, the crap prices that they have to sell it to at the stores and make a little extra pocket cash. Or there's even like a not a proper farmers market, but it started off as one of those and sent it like they built a gazebo on this corner near two somewhat main roads. And since then, like they have an actual like shed that they've built, or like a breezeway that they've built up down there, and you know they've got plenty of produce you can go to, and it's all direct from farm. And then only like 30 miles south from me, it's about a 40-minute drive, so it's not exactly close. But there's another place that's a meat. It's technically a meat seller. It's not really a butcher, but all of that is direct from the farm. So I can get steaks that were grown, you know, the cow was raised within 100-mile radius of me.
Yeah,
So I have that, but I know there's a lot of other people out there that they just don't live near where the food grows.
but you know it, and it's funny, you know, because I mean it in a way it seems like we might be, you know, veering off a little bit or whatever. Um, but at the same time, I you know I kind of feel like a lot of this shit is like connected. You know, all the all the shit that's been going on with Disney and Netflix, and the quick the quick birth and death of CNN Plus, and all just all this agenda, the agenda stuff, along with things like inflation, gas
Mhm.
prices, food prices, food shortages. It's like
I think it's the latter is causing the
it's
former. The
all
food, all of the shortages and the inflation is causing people to no longer want to spend even if it's $10 a month for the luxury of Netflix. They're like, that's literally another meal I could have. And, I have 12 streaming services. I'm paying more for all that shit than I did for cable. Why don't I
right.
cancel 3 or 4 of them that I barely use? And that's another, 3 days worth of food.
But I mean, I think that I think a lot of the same people are connected, to all this stuff. The like I said, the Gates and freaking uh, Soros and freaking
All the WEF people.
the WEF people, basically all the WEF people, the freaking uh, our current our current presidential administration. Um, it's yeah,
Yeah, I agree. It's all, and it's one of those things of it all comes down for it goes back to the lockdowns. And that's when it really started, and that's one thing that I keep giving Trump crap for. Like I like a lot of the things he did when he had the majority of his 3 years, but he kind of I think they got him with the lockdown. I think that was all intentional, and he played right into their hand with it. And from there, even though it wasn't all of the states, and even though a lot of the red states started opening up significantly sooner, like we only had 6 weeks, it didn't affect us a whole lot. But because our infrastructure is so connected, us being cut off from even states like Michigan and California and New York still harmed us here in Georgia. And I imagine same stuff was happening in Texas. So all it started there, and once the Biden administration got in, luckily we had a very safe, clean, and fortified election. Um,
yeah,
and we made sure that the proper, truly
right.
elected candidate Joe Biden made it into office.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, and I mean it even goes to the Ukraine situation, and it's not just Biden, but there's so many politicians higher up in both parties that have kids that are on boards of some sort of nationalized company over in Ukraine. So that's
Mhm.
why we're sending them $5 million an hour. And how long is Putin just going to stand by and let all that shit happen? It's exactly what Julian Assange had told us about before he got arrested with the WikiLeaks, was that the Uniparty set up the Middle East, the Gulf Wars, the second Gulf Wars in the Middle East, or sorry, what do they call it now? I know there were several of them, but Afghanistan, Iraq, and everything going on for the past 20
Yeah.
years, all of that was intentionally set up to take money from the public and put it into the hands of private corporations where these politicians own stock for. And they wanted it to go on for as long as possible. This wasn't meant to be a 2-3 year conflict. It was meant to be a 20-year conflict until public perception of it got so bad that they had to pull out by any means necessary. And they did a really shit job of it because they didn't want to lose any of their additional money that they had already made off of all of it. And
Yeah.
we see the same thing, and they're trying to do the same thing again with Russia. So all of it is connected in one form or another. And all of that also comes down to people not wanting to, trust in news has disappeared. So no one's going to pay for CNN Plus. People don't have time for all of the luxuries that they used to. So Netflix and Disney Plus are going down. and they're just not putting out very good products.
Yeah, no. Well, it's because everything they want to put out is, it's the agenda-driven freaking, everything has to be freaking
Part of the message.
Right, that, like, everybody's got to be, part of the rainbow and all this other shit, and like, it's got to be, because because of the way I identify, and because of the way, how I look, and because of my, what skin color I am, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll have a little bit of story, in there, but
yeah, gotta have the identity politics first.
Yeah, the important thing is the identity politics, because we have to be, activists, right? We have to be activists, and we have to, this is a platform, for us to be activists. So, that's what's important.
Yeah, I actually have a theory going on about just that I'm kind of working through. And I think part of the explanation for why so many TV shows and movies are such shit these days is because we've created a culture. We like to talk about it as the participation trophy culture, but beyond that, through social media, we've created a culture where you can virtue signal and you will get praise for it, and people get a serotonin boost for that. And so we have conditioned a lot of young people for a long time to believe that if you say the right thing, as long as you say I'm for X cause and X cause is good and we're against Y cause and Y cause is bad, you're going to have people clapping and cheering for you, and they're going to shower you with praise. And that has led these young writers who are now getting into actually creating these shows, or the young creators overall, believing that all they need to do is virtue signal, and they have done a good job. So they change out all the Ghostbusters for women, and suddenly that's all they need to do. They don't need to care about whether or not it looks good. They don't need to care about if there's good chemistry between the actors. They don't have to care about if the writing is any good, if there's a salient story, if people are going to actually be able to immerse themselves in this or have any sort of recognition with any of the characters. They don't care about any of that. I mean, they've thrown out classic filmmaking techniques that we know work every time. We see them, we know what they're doing, and we still love it. Things like planting and payoff or foreshadowing. We catch it earlier on and we go, that means this is going to happen. And yeah, it lets us call some of the story earlier on, but when it happens, we feel good about it because we're like, hey, that made me feel smart. I was able to notice this subtle thing they put in earlier that's going to lead from A to B to C. And they don't even do that anymore. And it's not hard to do that. You can do that after the main script is written. You can do that in editing. And they don't even do that shit anymore. Because they can just virtue signal.
Yeah. And yeah, the people that, get on Twitter, and, the people that have been, calling us istophobes and all that for like however many years now, it's like, yeah, I showed them, I put them in their place.
Mm-hmm.
I called them a bigot.
Out.
I called them a bigot, and I got 3,000 likes on my tweet because I called so and so a bigot.
Mm-hmm. And look, some online lefty bread tuber liked it and shared it. Look how great I am.
Yeah. Or like, a blue check mark liked my stuff, or I am a blue check mark, so I am the authority. But
Yup. Yeah, I mean it's all the virtue signaling culture, and all of it's censorious. It's, they all want to control what the message can be, what the message should be. And I think all of that is really harming a lot of our storytelling, our modern mythology that we've been creating for years. Now, I will say, as a bit of a white pill for all of this, we had much stronger censorship, actual rules in place for movies. Oh, who was it? Somebody did. Count Dankula did a video about the Hays Code that goes into this pretty well, where there were a lot of rules about you couldn't show, obviously you couldn't have things like nudity or bad words or, but there were also stupid rules like you couldn't, uh, you had to show the bad guy as being completely evil. You couldn't give him any sort of, a good cause, or, thinking he had a good cause or some alternate reason for what he was doing, give him a bit of nuance. And so we dealt with all of that. And then that got lifted in the late 60s, early 70s. And we saw a solid 20 years of amazing movies coming out. So with all the censorship going on here, I've been saying for a long time there's going to be an indie revolution. It's going to take time, but I'm waiting for people to start making TV shows and movies for places like YouTube or even Odyssey and stuff like that, and just crowdfund to do it. And there have been a couple of movies that have basically been made like that were pretty good. The Void comes to mind. I loved that movie, and that was crowdfunded. So there is a silver lining to it, but we're going to have to let go of a lot of the big name studios that have been putting out some of the best movies for a long time. Really haven't put out anything good for the past 10 years. And things that we do consider good are typically really average if you compare it to the history of cinema. So there is a silver lining, bit of a white pill. I think we're going to get good stuff again, but it's going to take time.
right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I just wonder though, because I mean, it's they seem to be more focused on rein to the to the moon, because there's a lot of us that don't want them talking to kindergartners about sex,
Mm-hmm.
or sexual orientation, whatever, like
You're a bigot for not letting me groom children.
yeah. Now, please watch this. Watch our new show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yup, and they're paying for that. It was just a few days ago. DeSantis removed their self-governance status, which means they're now going to be their buildings might get inspected. They're going to have to start paying more in property taxes, and I am willing to bet that the property taxes for, literally a small city are going to be huge. They decided that as a private company, they wanted to meddle with the majority of the state because DeSantis
right.
has overwhelming support with specifically this bill. So they wanted to meddle with the affairs of the state, and DeSantis is telling them, okay, well that's fine. You want to try and do your stuff. He's not taking any legal action against them for what they're saying. They're allowed to have their opinion, but I'm not going to give you the protections, and I'm not going to give you the tax advantages that you had. You're going to have to do business here like everyone else.
Right. And the people that the people that have been freaking having a shit fit over it, are like, oh, freaking DeSantis is overstepping his bounds, and he's being, basically, they're calling him a tyrant, for or basically saying that this is nothing but this is nothing but a revenge freaking act or whatever. Um,
I mean, even
and
if it is, so what? Like,
well, the thing is, it's like, um,
it's within
they
his bounds as
they
governor.
right, but they're all freaking uh, screaming at or about DeSantis doing this, but yet the same people were totally fine with the federal government trying to tell us how to live for the past 2 years.
Yep, it's big daddy government fine, small local government bad.
But it's I don't know, these people just leave me a little bit on the speechless side, as to
Oh yeah, if the left didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all.
uh,
It's okay when we do it, but when other people do it, it's completely horrible. I mean, these are the same people we were just talking about the nursing home genocide that were going on in New York and Michigan. These are the
yeah,
same
yeah,
people that come up with excuses for that.
right,
When I mean, especially New York had zero excuses. They had been sent from the federal government. They had been sent a hospital ship that was intended to quarantine patients, and they didn't fricking use it. And now this is anecdotal. It's third party. It's heard from a friend of a friend who went to a hospital during the height of the pandemic. He had, I can't remember what it was. It was some sort of accident, but it required an emergency room. Like he needed stitches, and all of the clinics were closed down because of the lockdowns. So he went to the hospital, and the place was freaking empty. Like not completely, but he was guessing they were at maybe 30% capacity. So they had plenty of other places to put these patients other than into the nursing homes. I think it comes down to the classic socialist tactic of the easiest way for us to fix the economy and continue spending the electorate's money is to get rid of the useless feeders. And we're going to do that by putting positive disease of unknown origin or virus of unknown origin positive patients into nursing homes. And not just that, but we're going to take ones who are criminals out of the prisons and put them into the nursing homes.
yeah. Or it's like, or we can't have too many people in jail because it's a health hazard to them. It's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe
Aren't
maybe
prisons designed to quarantine people? Like, isn't their express purpose?
I mean, it's like it's not like you can catch something again, or I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's certain things you can be. It's as they have. I think we're allowed to start talking about certain natural. I don't want to get you hit with anything, but you know what I'm talking about. When you get it and you build up some
Yeah,
white cells and antibodies for it on a more natural way. I mean, we've had studies come out from the CDC saying that's the most effective way. So yeah, if you have it and they aren't showing severe signs, and I mean, once again, it's anecdotal, it's a single reference, but that video we saw of that guy who was taken out of prison and put into the nursing home who was assaulting one of the patients, was punching the dude straight in the head. I'm pretty sure he wasn't feeling that bad.
yeah. Well, when the when the thing is a little bit more than just your common flu. I mean, it was. I'm one of the ones that you know, that called it the plandemic, you know.
Yeah, same.
And you know, and to kind of bring it back to the mainstream media, it was so overhyped, severely overhyped, and all the things that I heard in relation to you know, somebody died, and like they would automatically put it down as a coof death, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dying
And
with instead of dying from.
right.
But we're not going to tell you which number it actually is.
Yeah, but you know, and they would flat out deny, you know, and I'm sure there still is people that would flat out deny that that they would mark, you know, that they would mark these deaths that way because uh, the hospitals and whatnot would actually they would receive more, they would
Mm-hmm.
receive more money
Yep.
from the government if it was listed as a coof death.
Yeah, I completely agree. We incentivized fudging the numbers through the government. And once again, I like I said, I liked a lot of the stuff he did, but Trump let that happen. He signed that into law and had no problem setting that into action. I don't think that was part of Operation Warp Speed. I believe that was done beforehand. But I mean, Operation Warp Speed's been another one that goes along with it, and the mainstream media was definitely in on a lot of this stuff. I don't know if they were actually like being told what to say, or if it's just they were all so ready to be on board with whatever the Uniparty tells them to say that they're prepared to push whatever message it was. And I mean, when even people like Jon Stewart, who I mean, and Jon Stewart these days is not the Jon Stewart from 20 years ago who would, you know, call out anybody on any side if he saw it was BS. He's become pretty much an SJW lately. You can see it on his Apple TV show he does. But even he was calling out the bullshit on Colbert's show.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, the name of the institute in Wuhan is the name of the virus Research Institute.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just all this stuff. All this stuff is. It just seems like it's, you know, tied together, you know, or connected in some way, you know, whether it be by, you know, the people or, you know, their affiliations or whatnot, you know, and it's I think more and more people, you know, more and more people are quote unquote waking up, you know, and we're just more people are just getting tired of this crap.
I certainly hope so.
So
it looks like it.
You know, that's why you see Disney, you know, taking losses, and Netflix and CNN Plus, and you know, all these other, you know, all these other things, and you got
Yeah, I mean, CNN Plus wasn't even old enough for a Florida teacher to groom it.
Yeah, right.
That's a razor fist joke, by the way. I did not come up with that joke. I ain't stealing.
Yeah.
I'm borrowing.
But you know, and it's, you know, I see, you know, I'll see things on Twitter and whatnot, you know, and like I saw this meme or whatever, and it's um, it was like you know, the troll, like the troll picture or whatever, and it was smiling because across from it was a picture of AOC with her tax the rich dress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the bottom half, it had the troll face that was looking just really pissed off, and then across from it was a picture of freaking Disney World or whatever. So like, and then so they're like, yeah, tax the rich, and then we
But
DeSantis
not
goes
us.
and takes the special privileges away from Disney, and everybody's like,
Yeah, literally one of the biggest corporations in the world. Like they're up there. And no, don't tax them. They're on my side. I wonder if she's going to go to the fence of Disney World and cry looking outside of the rest of Florida. I mean, it's just a parking lot on the other side, but I really think she should go take some glamour shots crying in front of the fence again.
Dude, I thought it was funny as hell. I thought it was funny as hell when she decided to go on vacation to Florida,
Yep.
and supposedly she caught the coof while she was down there, and because she wasn't wearing her mask, so she caught the coof, and it's like, yeah, whatever. It seems like these people come down with these people come down with the coof just so they can keep that narrative going,
Mm-hmm.
keep it on life support,
Yeah, that happened not too long ago. Fancy Nancy Pelosi, didn't she catch it? And it was right after some other scandal had broke. There's so much shit that's constantly happening. I can't keep up with all of it.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that really got Gary neurotic, was that the whole hairdresser salon, the whole hair salon thing with Pelosi,
Yup.
and because Mrs. Neurotic, that she owned her own salon and all that stuff. That was her business.
Mm-hmm.
Not the one that Nancy went to, but she was in that business.
Mm-hmm.
But according to Nancy's rules, they, she ended up having to, close down her business,
Mm-hmm.
and lose her livelihood and all that. But yeah, it, and all this, rules for thee, but not for me, and with Governor Newsom, of California, at the French Laundry.
Yeah, spending like what was the bill? Some ridiculous amount. It was like $40,000 bill at the end.
I don't know about that. I just know
Well,
that
it was
they,
12
they
people,
were
and those are
they were
like $1,000 plates.
yeah. But you're at this fancy restaurant, and you're definitely closer than 6 feet from each other, and you're not wearing your mask like you're making everybody else do, and a lot of places can't even a lot of places can't even have customers inside, and like I said, all this stuff together, it's just adding up, and
Oh.
they're they're starting to feel it now, I think.
Yeah, they're trying to bring us one step closer, bit by bit. Slowly boiling the water with the frog in the pot analogy, with getting us closer to what is now termed as the Great Reset or the New World Order or whatever it is. There's certain groups who are trying to put through global authoritarianism, that they will have as much control over the population as possible, and I think the the COOF was a trial run. The pandemic was a trial run to see
Right.
just how much people will put up with in a short amount of time. And, you know, ever
That's
since
like
then,
the-
it's been bit by bit, piece by
right.
piece.
Well, it definitely was a freaking training session. You know, just like all this freaking uh just like all this all this groomer stuff, you know.
Yeah.
um you know, they've been, you know, teaching stuff. They've been teaching stuff in schools, you know, like and universities for years now. And you know, so it's, you know, it's almost you know, it's just straight up like freaking indoctrination. And people are, you know, there's a lot of people that just their priorities or moral compass or whatever, you know, it's just all fucked up, you know. They
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they you know, they, like I said, they say you know, on one hand they say tax the rich, and then uh but yet, you know, they keep voting, they keep voting for the rich people,
Mm-hmm.
right? um
And apparently, someone was talking about this online not too long ago, but like all of the California transplants that are going to places like Texas, they're showing up in places like Texas where, you know, the economy is doing well and people have voted for people who, you know, might not be. It's tough to find like a good politician, so it's not like you can claim any of these people are good, but at least the policies that they have are intended to keep the most amount of money in the electorate's pocket. And they try to facilitate good business and good economics going on in the area because they know that a strong economy for an area will help to bring up the, you know, social status of everyone all around. And they're moving to these places, but they're still going there and bitching about Trump, and they're bitching about all of the policies that they don't like that the states have. Like there's I'm sure that there are plenty of California, you know, new Texans from California that really want to have, you know, abortion up until 9 months in that state, and they're going to continue bitching about that.
yeah, it doesn't make much sense. It doesn't make much sense to leave a place because you know, it's become unlivable, and then go somewhere else and try to vote for the same policies that made the place you moved from, you know, the way it was. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, California sucks now, so we're gonna move to Texas or Florida. Okay, Texas and Florida, you know, this is great and all, but we need this, and this, just like we did in California. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yep, and it's it doesn't make sense. I agree, and people shouldn't. They should have the concept of, you know, I'm fleeing this place because the policies that I've advocated for and my parents advocated for, and for 30 years we've been fucking this place up. You know, I should move to a place and probably follow the ideals of the people over there. But we're dealing with people who are, they're completely dogmatic when it comes to their political ideology. They don't have to explain any of it because a lot of it is based. It's, I mean, I don't like using the same analogy, but it's almost faith based. You know, they treat it like a religion, and
Oh,
because of that,
definitely.
they don't question anything that's going on there. They just believe this policy good, and if I don't advocate for this policy, I'm bad. And even though it destroyed the previous place where I lived, I can't live through my life knowing
Mhm.
that there aren't women out there who can, you know, terminate their fetus, or I can't live my life without having to be able to legally go buy marijuana. And look, I'm all for it's one of those things ideologically, like I'm for the legalization of marijuana, but I also recognize that there is a ballooning effect anywhere that it becomes legal. Colorado was a bit more purple, but they were more leaning toward the red until they legalized weed over there. And it's gone very blue in the time being. So I worry that if enough people do move to Texas, and a lot of people are for the legalization of marijuana, we have to look out for that, sort of pattern that happens. I'm sure it's not going to happen every time, but what if Texas becomes a purple state? They're one of the solids for the Republican Party, who of course isn't perfect, but I'd rather have an inept government that wants to reduce, at least claim they're reducing certain powers, even if they're pulling, shady shit on the side. But then someone who is, I mean, a lot of the shit the left pulls at this point in time, it's beyond incompetent and goes into the malicious.
Right. Well, at one time, pretty much anything was legal in this country. I mean, freaking, we had towns or cities with like freaking opium dens and shit, for crying out loud, but that all these things, started becoming illegal when certain people wanted to control these things, and I mean, the war on drugs, the war on drugs is, pretty much a joke,
Mm-hmm. I mean, I completely agree. The war on drugs has been nothing but harmful, and making all of this stuff illegal and criminalizing people, particularly I'd say for hard drugs, we're criminalizing people who are dealing with the mental illness of addiction, which it is a mental illness classified in the DSM-5. And so we're criminalizing people for mental illness that predominantly causes self-harm. Now, it does harm other people around them, typically through social connections and the like, and people do die from taking hard drugs, but criminalizing these people doesn't help. And I agree in that we shouldn't restrict people's not just their rights and freedoms, but we shouldn't harm other people for making mistakes on the fear of a slippery slope. But it's just a pattern I constantly see with the legalization of marijuana is the ballooning effect. I mean, I'm not, I'm a regular user. I mean, I'm using Delta 8 these days just because I don't know, the real stuff was messing me up. It was giving me anxiety left and right, so I can control that more. But nonetheless, I see the effect. I see the pattern.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that are they're totally they're totally okay with marijuana being legal, and they they are red voters, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm one of them. I'm not saying that it happens on an individual level. I don't think that's a thing. I think it's more so, and maybe if it becomes more widespread legalized or decriminalized in certain areas, it might be not as much of a problem. And I think it might be more attributed to the crowd that it collects. Like Colorado was, that's a bit of a tough place to live. It's rural. It snows a lot of the time. There are cities there, of course, but outside of those cities, it's a tough life for most people. And but once they legalized, I think a lot of people were drawn from other parts of the countries, particularly like major cities, to move to Colorado because they wanted legal weed, and it did matter that much to them. So maybe it's more of the people who moved to those areas, and we just might not see it as much if it becomes completely legalized. I mean, why move there if you could just go to the corner store?
Yeah, But you know, things like meth and coke and you know stuff like that. Uh, yeah, I mean, people don't need to, you know, especially meth. You know that doesn't really. I don't know if that really needs to be a legal thing. You know, but because I mean, you know, they make that. You know, they make that shit with stuff like Drano and other shit. You know, so it's like, but
But at the same time, should we criminalize the people who are dealing with the addiction? Or like I could totally understand going over manufacturers or even distributors and saying, you know, it's illegal to sell, it's illegal to make, but you know, the users are typically being taken advantage of. They have in a the mental illness of addiction, and our fix to that is to throw them into prisons where there are more drugs than on the outside. Like meth heads don't have a problem getting meth inside a prison. They just have to do butt stuff for it. So it's I just don't see it as a good solution. I see it as somewhat cruel to the people who are dealing with a legitimate issue that really can only be, it's not going to be fixed by jailing them. It can only be fixed by getting them the proper help, the proper mental help, the proper therapies, and you know, a good structure to get them moving forward. But at the same time, we can't, it's the kind of thing you can't force onto somebody because they have to make the initial decision. So I just, it's created a lot more problems. Like the war on drugs and criminalizing these people has made more problems than it has fixed.
yeah.
And I think it's somewhat cruel and unusual to criminalize an addict.
Right. Well, you know, like I said, you know, some of the harder stuff is a little different. But like, you know, marijuana, um, to me, marijuana is like, you know, on the same tier, you know, same level as alcohol, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, like freaking, you know, alcohol is legal everywhere. So, you know, I, I think, you know, I think marijuana should be legal everywhere too. So,
I mean, hell, I think 21's too high of an age for alcohol. I'd say the same for weed. I agree. I think it should be legalized everywhere. It's
oh, dude, there's some places, especially over in Europe, where you know it's like if you're old enough to, you know, if you're old enough or big enough to see over the bar, you know you can get served. You know.
Germany technically
uh,
has no drinking age. When I went there when I was 15. Now, technically, what they'll have in certain areas, you know, from local laws, is that if you are under 16, you have to have a guardian or parent's permission to be able to drink. But when I was in Berlin and I was 15, they didn't give a single fuck. I could buy booze at a gas station. I went to several bars. I went to a nightclub while I was there, and I was only in Berlin for like 4 days, so we were getting lit. And yeah, they didn't give a single fuck. Hell, they had cigarette machines on every street corner. I could go up to a machine, pump €3 into it, push a button, and get a pack of. I was smoking Marlboro Reds at the time. Actually, they did. I had to get. They had Pall Malls. That was the closest they had for American products. They had Pall Malls in Germany. So yeah, some places don't give a shit. And you know what? Germany has less alcoholism per capita than America. I mean, part of that is cultural, but still.
right. And well, I mean, you know, part of it, you know, like it's, you know, it's because you know, like over there, you know, the you know, it's like it's lost its you know, there's no thrill or whatever to you know to doing it, you know, because it is legal or whatnot. You know, it's like
less of a stigma. It's you want to do what they tell you not to,
yeah,
especially at a young age.
basically. Because I mean, you know, like growing up in growing up in rural southeast Missouri, um, I mean, you know, as soon as you were in high school, you know, you were going to parties and whatnot, where there was alcohol, you know,
Mhm.
and you know, needless to say, when you're a freshman or sophomore in high school, you're definitely below the legal age. Um, but I mean, you know, by the time you're 21, you know, the only thing that really changed was the fact that you could walk into a bar yourself
Mhm.
and buy something, you know, or you could go to the liquor store and buy something yourself, you know, instead of having to work through the grapevine. Um,
I had it
but
somewhat similar. I was in a suburb outside of DC growing up, and but nonetheless, I still by the time I was 15, I had friends who were over 21 that I could just pass them money and they would buy me booze. And honestly, like my parents didn't really give two shits. They as long as I wasn't getting like shit faced in front of them in the house, they didn't really care. They didn't want to stigmatize it for me. I mean, my dad definitely didn't care. He was an alcoholic, so that's pot to kettle black. Uh,
mm,
but yeah, I've been able to get booze since I was 15, like at whatever amount I want in order to get shit faced, and then all the way up until I was 21. And by the time I was 21, I went to a bar. I ordered one drink. I got to say, I got my 21-year-old drink at the bar, and I drank it there. And immediately I left and just went and hung out with my friends somewhere else. I'm not a bar kind of person, and I honestly don't even drink that much anymore. Probably
right.
like 2-3 times a month I'll have a couple of drinks, and that's about it. What about once or twice a year I get completely shit faced, but that's it.
But the again, some of the same people, um, that want to, groom the kids to be, accepting of, uh, uh, the whole like uh, trans this and freaking pronoun that, and are that they're the same ones that want to take away your Second Amendment right here in the states, and yeah, which it's funny. 'Cause speaking of which, so um, like my oldest boy is he's 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he could have a rifle, like the big bad black freaking AR-15.
Oh yeah, the scary AR-15.
Yeah. Um, but he can't go out and buy himself a pistol like I just did recently.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, you have to be a lot of places anyway. A lot of places you have to be 21 to buy a handgun,
Like,
and the what's funny about that is the vast majority of um, people who get shot are shot with handguns,
oh yeah.
not rifles. like the AR, but yeah, but handguns, yeah.
I mean, hell,
Which,
even beyond that, the most common round used, even in self-defense circumstances, is the 22 long.
mm,
Yeah, some of that stuff it's just crazy to me because like I grew up somewhat around guns. I had an uncle who taught me how to shoot when I was 7, and I knew other people who had guns in the house, so it wasn't exactly a verboten thing for me. Um, in fact, my mom thought it was a good idea for me to learn to respect and how to shoot guns when I was 7 years old. Um, and so but I didn't get into like purchasing guns or learning more about them or carrying or anything like that until I was really it was around the start of the pandemic is when I went out. I was one of it was like what 20 million people over like a 3-month period registered. I was one of those, and I'm realizing, paying attention to all of this stuff, just how many ridiculous laws most states have because Georgia, it's so freaking easy to do it. I mean, we just got constitutional carry, so it's even easier to purchase firearms or whatever the hell you want, really, as long as it's not an NFA item, in which case you just have to pay the government a tax to be able to get the stamp for it. But yeah, shit's just so open down here and so easy to get a hold of your firearms. And
well, let's let's not let's preface that or whatever a little bit by saying because of the lefty loos that
you
might
still
tune
have to
into
get a
this.
background check. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
um
still have to get a
it,
federal background check through the FBI.
yeah.
It's yeah.
It's not like it's not like going to Domino's and picking up a pizza. Okay.
No, it's not. There's hoops you have to jump through, but they're not ridiculous. And unless you yourself have a history of violent crime, or you've had a drug charge within like 2 years, or a significant drug charge within 7 years, you're probably fine. You should not have any problems. You do have to get the background check. I mean, I had to get for my carry permit. I had to get the background check, and I had to go down to the sheriff's office and have my picture taken, and fingerprints and everything. Like
Yeah.
you can't just get them, but nonetheless, I basically gave the state $75, and they said, okay, yeah, well, here's your license, and that's good for
Right.
5 years. And now I technically won't need to re-up it again. But I probably will, because something else that we have that other states don't is most states you have to get a firearms carry permit. In Georgia, it's just a weapons carry permit. So if I wanted to walk around the street openly carrying a fucking broadsword, I'm allowed to with my weapons permit. Now, I might get questioned, but I'm allowed to do it.
Yeah, I don't. So it cost me $50 to get my concealed carry for the state of Washington, and I think it's going to be like an additional 25 bucks every year or whatever to keep it going. So they'll be making money off of me there. But yeah, I had to. I don't recall getting a picture taken, but I did have to get fingerprinted, which that I was like I thought that was great. It's like, oh hey, it's just like I'm being arrested. But so yeah, I wasn't too happy about having to be fingerprinted just to have a concealed carry. But yeah, they background check you for that. They background check you when you actually go and purchase the firearm. And yeah, I still had to wait like a week and a half, like or so. It's for the for the check, for the check to come back on the 9 mil that I bought, so like I paid for it, I paid for it, but then I had to wait like a week and a half before I could actually go pick it up. Something that
And
I
that was
spent.
after doing your registration for the permit.
Yeah, I actually got my concealed carry permit first. Which at one time that would uh, in the state of Washington, at one time that would kind of like expedite the process.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's what we have. Your concealed carry permit is your background check. Is
but no, not they put a stop to that. So now it doesn't there's not really any advantages to getting your concealed carry
mm,
first. Uh,
fucking Seattle, right?
but oh yeah, probably. Well, Seattle and Tacoma and Olympia, yeah, those people, those people basically run the state. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just not that easy. Like I said, it's not like going to Domino's and picking up a pizza.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
anywho,
one.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say once you get your permit here, it kind of is like since I got my permit, every single firearm that I've gotten, which I got the permit first. Yeah, it's literally been walk in, give them money, they give you a gun. Sometimes you can buy ammo there, and you walk out. But I've already gone through the federal background check.
Hmm. Well, the thing that gets me is the fact that you can basically get online and find out just about anything on just about anyone, uh, within minutes,
Hmm.
but yet for some reason it takes a week and a half to uh, say, yeah, okay, you can go ahead and exercise your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's I definitely see what you're saying. That the regulations do kind of go against the Second Amendment, and unfortunately, that's just how the Supreme Courts have deemed it to be. I mean, I have plenty of problems with the court system, but it's that happens because the individual gun shops are not able to do their own background checks, which I think would significantly expedite it.
mm,
I actually had a friend who worked at a sports dealer down here years ago, and yeah, he would have to call up somebody at the ATF and the FBI to get the background checks done. And
mm,
now sometimes they can, like down here, they can get it done in a few hours. Like it doesn't always take weeks. It's literally they call up the guy, they'll say, "All right, I'll do the check and I'll call you back." And it literally only takes the people at the ATF and the FBI like 20 minutes of work to clear the person. But some states, they intentionally put a time limit on it. Like I know California has like a minimum like 1 week, or I think 5 business days, so essentially 1 week wait that is imposed on being able to get a firearm.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no actual reason for that. It's other than the state says they need to do it.
Mhm. Which the which makes me think of like the actual amendment itself, saying that you know this shall not be infringed, which anything and everything that you have to go through in order to get a firearm is basically some sort of infringement. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another unstructured another unstructured rantathon. And the comics division's show should have kicked off about 5 minutes ago. So everybody go over there and support that show, and
All right.
we will talk to y'all. Huh?
Oh, sorry. I was to say real quick. This is on topic with what you're saying. I think Comics Division is getting shadow banned. He wasn't on my feed, and he's not showing up in my subscription bar. I had to actually type him into the search engine here.
Well, the so on how you got like your notifications, and then you can click on the little bell icon, and it will take you to basically a different list, or like it and so basically it's like a second notification list, right?
And I'm not getting any of it. Like, it's not on my main feed. I click the bell icon, and no, my last one is from 3 hours ago. And then I got the subscriptions list on the side here, and when I open that up, it does not show comics as being live.
Right, but I have noticed here lately, at least for like a couple of people, like I'll get the notification on that on that first list, where you can basically you can see the thumbnail, it's a picture of the thumbnail and whatnot. But when I click on the bell, to go to that to that other list, they're not on there. Like it the alert, basically it's the alert list, that other list, when you hit the bell. And so they're like Loki, Loki's Mornings of Mischief.
Yeah.
He'll be on the notification, but when I click the bell, that shows all the alerts, he's not on there. So yeah, I don't know. It's YouTube being YouTube, I guess. But anyway, again, like I said, I appreciate everybody tuning in for this low rent production, and go ahead and go on over to Comics Division's channel and support his viewer count. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.